Thank you again all for coming out here today. I know about this time is our nap time. You know, my stomach is full from lunch, so you know, I'd rather be in bed with a pillow. But so thank you all really for coming out here, because I think what we're doing is we're talking about a really important issue, which is really about college retention and completion more than anything, right? It's not so much how many students we can enroll into our colleges and within our departments and within our institutions, but also how many of those we can graduate successfully and can go on to carry out and live out successful careers in their college education, right? So with that, if we could go to the next slide. Yes, great. So I wanted to start off with the question of inequality, right? Social inequality is something that continues to plague our nation today, right? And it's a question of access that I wanted to first talk about and really address. The question of access in regards to inequality, right? And in the digital age, internet has become very important, right? It's no longer about the personal computer, right? That was probably the big technological boom of the 20th century, right? In the 21st century, it's now the internet, right? So a lot of computer tools now are internet-based, and the internet is a huge determinant in regards to access to other social services or resources and even institutions, right? So internet access in today's world is very important. And I wanted to talk about access and inequalities, right? There is what all of us, or many of us probably already heard about, the digital divide, right? The fact that there is a disproportionate access to the internet by different racial and ethnic groups, right? So here are just only two stats that I put on here. 86% of 18 to 29-year-old college-educated Americans have access to the internet through their mobile phones, right? That's high internet access. But when it comes to personal computers, the digital divide is much worse, right? Only 56% of young and college-educated African Americans have access to the internet, right?
Through mobile phones?
No, this is through personal computers.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's through
so
the has to be personal.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly. So the digital divide is much wider when it comes to personal computers than with mobile phones. And if any of you have mobile phones and you've used the internet before, you know that access to certain websites or certain tools on a phone can sometimes be more restrictive than those on a computer, right? You have different types of access when comparing your phone to a computer, right? Go on to the next slide. The second source of inequality in access that I wanted to bring up is education, right? College enrollment is on a decline, right? A lot of this has to do with an increasing cost in college education. I remember when I was a freshman in college, right? And when I looked back at that after being a doctoral candidate and when I became ABD, the tuition had increased twice-fold, right? So educational prices for a price for education has risen, right? And in most cases, it has doubled, right? If not gone even higher. So that might be affecting college enrollment. So college enrollment is on a decline. It's a small number, but a significant number, one for us to be paying attention to, right? Another stat that I wanted to have us pay attention to was college enrollment. The U.S. ranked 7th out of 23 developed countries in terms of dropout rates. We have the 7th highest in dropout rates, right? We have a high number of dropouts, not just in college, but also this is a problem we inherit from high schools, right? So there is inequality within our educational system, right? There is still underrepresented groups within higher education and higher educational institutions. In addition, we also have trouble with enrollment and retention. So how do we get students, especially those from underrepresented groups, women, Latinos, African Americans, Pacific Islanders, etc., how do we get them into our colleges and have them also graduate from them and lead and go on to live successful lives and have successful careers, right? That's the next question of access that I wanted to discuss. The next one, and the final one I wanted to bring up, was employment, right? When it comes to unemployment, African Americans are twice as likely to be unemployed than white Americans, right? When it comes to wage earning, right? A Latina woman earns 56 cents to the dollar of a white male in this country, right? If any of us remember 2008, when Hillary Clinton was running against Obama, Hillary Clinton made a strong case for gender inequality when it comes to the work sector, right? And how white women get paid, I think if I remember correctly, about 12 to 18 cents less than a white male, right? This is significant and alarming. So there is inequality today in terms of internet access, in terms of educational access, and also work access to work, right? And there are different social, political, and economic factors that play into having access to different opportunities that affect your life outcome and the quality of life that you live. So with that, I just wanted to paint you sort of a big picture of the kind of situation that we find ourselves in as educators and professionals. Right? Now I'm going to let Tess take on the next slide.
Great. So SamaUSA is actually part of a larger organization called Samasource. Has anyone heard of Samasource? No? Oh, you have. Great. So Samasource was an organization started in 2008 that helps people in developing countries get out of poverty through tech jobs, digital jobs. So in its 5-year history, Samasource has actually lifted over 15,000 people out of poverty. Our presence is mostly in East Africa, India, and now Central and South America. So, you know, we've built a really successful model for developing countries internationally through lifting people out of poverty through digital work. And a couple of years into our work, we decided, how can we leverage this expertise for the U.S.? Obviously, poverty here, as Francisco just kind of gave us the big picture of, access, inequality, and income mobility is a huge issue here. So Samasource decided to kind of leverage its successful model and its expertise doing this work overseas with providing digital jobs to people in poverty here. So the mission of SamaUSA is to improve the lives of people in poverty by training them to compete in the growing online job market. That's our broad mission statement. We just started in March of 2013. We're a pilot program, and we chose to focus on the community college student population because of many of the things that Francisco pointed out. So, as all of you are familiar, probably more than we are, you know, dropout rates are a huge issue. There can be 70% or higher dropout rate. Some groups, like minorities, can have 80% and upwards, and in low-income communities, it can be even higher than that. So for somebody to, you know, be able to have an education, get a college degree, and get a sustainable job and career, you know, the system is not providing that opportunity for so many people. And a lot of the research shows that part of the reasons why people do drop out have to do with the cost of college and not being able to provide even, you know, I used to work with a young person in Oakland who her dream job was to be a medical assistant. She got into this program. It was going really well, but she didn't have a job. It was a full-time program, and she couldn't afford the bus pass to and from school because it was like $3 each way. And that seems like a very small amount, but that can be the difference between somebody staying and dropping out. And this young woman unfortunately had to drop out to take a job. So we see situations like that happening all the time, and sometimes it's not even possible to get a job because of the local economy. So the problem that SamaUSA is trying to address with our model is to help provide, leveraging the expertise that the organization has in digital work, is to help these low-income students find a different type of employment so that they can graduate and increase their lifetime earnings and escape poverty. So this is just illustrating the dropout cycle, that if you start out with an inability to get a living wage job and you aren't able to get a degree to increase your chances of a higher wage job, it's kind of continuing the cycle. So, how can we help students graduate? Provide them with sources of income so that they can, afford school and graduate. But how can we do this when San Francisco is doing fairly well in some cases, but there are so many communities that just don't have any job growth at all. One of our sites is in Merced, actually. And students there, really talk about how they've tried everything. They've tried to find a job, and they just can't. So how can we even provide job training when there are no jobs? And so online work provides that opportunity, we believe. So online work is really an emerging market. A lot of people haven't heard of it or don't know what it is. I expect that a lot of you are probably familiar with it, being in the ICT field. And there's all these online job platforms cropping up to respond to this flourishment and growth in the market. Some of them are Odesk, Elance, and TaskRabbit. Have you guys heard of any of those? No. So, okay, yeah, some of you have. So, yeah, freelancer.com. There's a lot of them out there, and basically what they do is provide a marketplace where freelancers and employers can come together. The sites are, protected and safe, and so they can do payments, taxes, hiring and screening. Everything is kind of taken care of on these sites, and it provides a level of security for both parties that didn't used to be available, let's say, through Craigslist if you're freelancing. So we're seeing that a lot of these sites are popping up, and the market itself is growing very quickly. In addition, so it was $1 billion market in 2012. It's projected to be a $5 billion market in the next 5 years. On Elance alone, freelancers have earned over $700 million, and actually that number has just increased to almost $1 billion. So you're seeing a lot of growth in this marketplace. And another thing that you're seeing is that freelancers show over time that their wages increase exponentially. So as you can see, 60% over 1 year, 190% over 3 years, which is, if you compare that to other jobs, it's a much different ratio. At a traditional, let's say, entry-level job, your wage might increase a few percentage points each year. So there's a lot of exciting opportunity here. So that's where SamaUSA comes in. We believe that if community college students that are struggling to get through school because of their economic situation, that if they can access this new marketplace of work, online work, that's not dependent on their local economy, then maybe they can get a job through that and afford the cost of college and then graduate, and get out of poverty. So we developed a model that's a training in online work. Francisco is going to talk much more about what this training entails. But it's to train low-income community college students in how to be successful in this new marketplace so that they can get jobs and earn supplemental income. Online work, I want to mention as well, has a unique benefit for college students because a lot of the contracts and jobs on these sites are, work on your own time, make your own hours. And so for somebody juggling, a full-time medical assisting degree, and that can't really balance hours, let's say at a part-time entry-level job, they can really set their own hours through online work, and they can also work in whatever location. Maybe it's in a school library, maybe it's from their house, there's more convenient. So it kind of is able to not only provide a supplemental income source, but be a more flexible way to earn income while they're in school. So as I mentioned, we launched our first pilot in March in Bayview, Hunters Point, which is a low-income community here in San Francisco. And we partnered with the Mid-Pacific ICT Center and City College of San Francisco and the city. And so far, we're actually in our third cohort right now. And we've also expanded to Merced College as well as Feather River College, which is 4.5 hours northeast of San Francisco, and they just got fiber optic cable. It's a very rural area, so you may not have heard of it. So that's kind of where we're at now, and I'm going to let Francisco take over and give you, oh wait, no I'm not. I'm going to show you a quick video about our program, because I think that that will help fill out what I'm saying a little bit more, so that I can see the video.
Just click on that.
Good.
Click on it again.
We should have a little finger.
Oh.
Pointing finger. Goes well.
The menu's good. Second from left.
Second from left.
Second button from left.
No.
This one.
Yeah, please.
So let's move forward.
Yeah.
So my good.
You should get a little finger pointing in the middle somewhere.
Just click.
Yeah.
Yeah. Clicking.
How about we do this?
Yeah.
But it's showing the whole desktop.
Oh great, so we have YouTube and internet access. Perfect. There we go. Sorry about that. We have sound.
Good audio?
Lower right is it's muted.
Might be muted on the lower right.
Yeah. Nope.
Technical problems. Technology.
Should work, right?
Yeah.
Is there an D stage from Royal PR does that university?
Run.
Oh, the one was.
All right. So
We can send out the link if anyone's interested. You can find it on YouTube if you search for
So unfortunately, we weren't able to see the video, but all of you are familiar with YouTube. And if you just type in our name, SamaUSA, you'll find the video right there, the very top one. There's also some other videos you might be interested in. But the one we were going to show you ranks to #1 on the YouTube search for when you type in SamaUSA. Like Tess mentioned as well, we can also email you a link to our video. Right now, I wanted to take a few minutes to discuss our curriculum. I want to say that SamaUSA is not meant nor geared nor equipped to replace any particular department of any higher educational institution. Instead, it's meant to supplement that education with an education that is in some ways sort of workforce development, right? And we train students in digital technology. And I wanted to take a few minutes to discuss some of the training that takes place within our program. Right? The first sort of section that we do are marketable skills. So because we're focused in online work, we need to teach skills to students that are marketable, that students can use to market themselves in the online work environment and in the online work marketplace. Right? So some of these skills are website creation and content management, business and personal blogging, customer service, virtual assistant, task handling, and internet research. These are not skills that college students come with from a high school education. These are oftentimes skills that if a college student possesses, they learn them on their own. Right? They were self-motivated and exposed themselves to these kinds of skills, whether it was through personal interest or some other way, right? In this program, we teach them these skills directly, and every student walks away with a website out of the program. They walk away with about half a dozen or more blog posts that they've written and created. We work also with them with their vocabulary, with grammar, and writing at some extent, right, which is involved in blog writing. We teach them things like customer service and virtual assistant, which are marketable skills, and these are growing sectors in the digital world, right? If we could go on to the next slide. The next category that we work on is digital work readiness, right? So with this, we teach them entrepreneurship and what it means to be an entrepreneur, what it means to be self-motivated, to be a go-getter, right? To hold yourself accountable, right, for your own success. We give them financial literacy, given that they will have to handle their own money, right, and file their own taxes. We teach them proposal writing, how to submit proposals for jobs, right? Proposals are very similar to cover letters, right, but they have a different intent and purpose, but very similar. We teach them online interviewing and online testing. If you claim to have a test in the online work environment, if you claim to have a particular type of skill or talent or trade, there is actually an online test for that particular skill. So if you say you are a web programmer of some sort, or you are familiar with WordPress or Facebook or Twitter development, or you say you are a creative writer or a resume writer, well, there's a test for each one of those skills. There are over 3,000 online tests. So we teach students how to prepare for these tests, what to expect in these tests, and we help them through some of these tests. Right? We don't give them the answers. That would be unethical, of course. We teach them business communication, what's expected in a business environment in terms of communication. Right? Professional portfolio development. Right? They walk away with a digital portfolio in hand. Career planning in the digital age. Right? Many times, there are oftentimes college students who come into our campuses who are undeclared, don't have a major, or don't know why they have the major that they have, right? And they're really lost and unsure, you know, and they feel like sometimes it's not a matter of not having any options, it's more a question of having too many options. Which, like myself, whenever I'm in a restaurant and I get this menu that's like a book, you know, I have a hard time choosing what I want to eat, right? So sometimes a student has a hard time selecting a major when they have over 2-3 dozen majors to choose from, right? So we help them out and sort of give them some tips and tricks and give them some training in terms of career planning. Next slide, please. And finally, we give them in our program access and exposure, right? We had a class of ours who we try to teach, and we try to show them and tell them that they could be entrepreneurs, right? They could participate in the tech industry and the tech boom taking place in San Francisco. Most of these individuals, most of these college students are underrepresented in higher education. Most of them being African American or Latino, right? It wasn't until we took them to Google here in downtown San Francisco that many of them began to see themselves in that industry. Prior to that, there was this disengagement or this distance between them and the tech boom taking place in San Francisco. And for many of them, it was the exposure, not just the awareness, but the exposure to the tech industry that really made them, that really changed their self-concept, right? It changed how they perceive themselves and where they can end up in the future. Right? So it expanded their choices. In addition, we've teamed up with platforms, online work platforms like TaskRabbit and Elance to provide additional training for our students. We also give our graduates a laptop to help them in online work. What good is it to be able to do online work without the actual primary tool to access online work, which is a personal computer, right? Students develop a professional online presence. Like I said, all of our students create a website, right? This website is about them and their professional development. Students complete paid work projects on online platforms. This means that we not only introduce them to these online work platforms, which is point A, we take them through the entire process to the point where we pay them for a project and they withdraw the funds. And either A, they receive a physical check in the mail, or B, they receive payment through direct deposit, online banking, right? So we take them through the entire process from A to Z. And finally, we have what's called a SAMA Cafe and an alumni support network, where we take advantage of social media, right, to stay in touch with our alumni. We provide our alumni with additional resources and additional workshops, in addition to having SAMA Cafe, which is a weekly get-together for our alumni, where they could come and search for online work. We provide them with additional support and resources, as well as job leads that might be of interest to our alumni. So this is sort of our curriculum in a nutshell. Does anyone have any questions?
So do they get an internet connection also, or do they have to go to Starbucks, or what?
Well, they would have to either, some of our students have internet access. The majority have internet access, but most places, it has become commonplace for people to access free Wi-Fi in the public. Library, cafes. Yeah.
What's the time commitment for the participants?
Great question. So in our pilot phase, we started off with a 10-week program. So that's why we call it a boot camp, because it's an intensive 10 weeks where students commit up to 8 hours a week to the program.
And so what's the platform? Is it, are they doing assignments, or is there
So it's a mixed method. Excellent approach. Excellent question. It's a mixed method approach. So there is face-to-face instructional support, right, which are lectures, assignments, as well as work projects. And the other half of the curriculum is online, through online courses and modules. So their training is both received by an instructor on-site and through online courses.
Is there an office classroom, or do they go to a college or a library, or what do you mean?
In our San Francisco site, we meet at the YMCA in Bayview. In our Merced site, students meet at the Merced Community College. And the same will be the case for Feather River. They will be meeting in the classroom.
What's the criteria for students to be accepted into this, and what actual commitment do they have to make to start receiving your support in this program? In other words, I'm assuming not everybody walks in the door and can be accepted.
Yes. Well, we recruit, and what we seek out are low-income college students. Right, that's our primary target. You know, students who are from a low-income background, because Samasource, our parent company, our parent organization, was created as a way of addressing poverty, really fighting poverty, right? And SamaUSA takes on that same spirit of fighting poverty. And one of the main ways of eliminating poverty in the United States is a higher education. So by helping students fund or provide supplemental income to continue on their college education, we help in that way in reducing poverty. So we look for low-income students. In addition, we take them through an interview process for those that are interested. We interview them, and we gauge their seriousness in respects to the program and whether or not they can commit to the program successfully, whether or not they're able to commit. Some students may have high interest in the program, but it just may not be compatible with that period in their life. and their college and their schedule. While other students may be completely available, but completely disinterested or may not have that level of maturity that might be expected from a successful student.
The reason I ask, aside from the altruistic and aspect of this, I've recently had experience with students accepting financial aid that had no true commitment to doing the education, just accepting the money. And so, you know, my approach to thinking about these things now has this sort of caveat in my head. And so I'm trying to figure out, you know, like, it's because it takes a certain commitment on the part of the student to participate. And do you have to work? Are they always prepared to make that commitment?
I think as an educator, you have to kind of go the extra mile with working with the population, and each student comes with a different set of skills, a different set of expectations, and also intentions. Ultimately, I think, well, first of all, I think in the context of California, the community colleges have already developed a plan to sort of counteract these ill intentions of college in terms of college enrollment, where now community colleges provide their financial aid packages spread out through the semester. Where I think in other states, it's still given in one lump sum in the beginning of the semester. In the community college context in California, I think it's divided into 2 or 3 parts. Can someone? 2.
Last time I checked, it was 2, and we have control because we not unusual among our students who have people who come just to get the financial and disappear on the semester. And then
I was like shocked at the experience I had recently.
Yeah.
That, you know, all of our incentives, like the laptop and the payment, it's all contingent upon attendance and commitment. So it's not like they just show up and we hand them something and then they can just leave. We have built-in accountability measures, obviously, to protect ourselves and our own risk.
Well, protecting the students too, in the long run.
Absolutely.
Are there any of these programs in the Netherlands, or is it strictly here in the U.S.?
So it's just here right now in California, but I will get to our expansion plans that's towards the end of the presentation.
Do you recruit your students from a list of people dropping out of college, or how do you find them?
Well, I wish it was that easy. Get away from students and just get, you know, I think depending on the site, it really influences our recruitment strategy on each site, you know, but a lot of our strategy is either on campus or through partnerships. So partnering up with other nonprofit orgs that help low-income college students and trying to funnel them from those partnerships into our program or directly from the campus and department into our program.
Where do you get the money to support this program? You said mentioned partnerships, but
yeah,
what other partnerships?
Well, we received a grant from the California Endowment. So right now we're based in California. So we're actually going to move on to the next slide because as a trained sociologist, what I'm most excited about is our findings in a case study. So, and that's I'm gonna give that section to Tess here, so she can discuss some of our findings during our first pilot year, so you can learn more.
Cool, thanks. I'll try to get through this quickly because I know we're running out of time. But just to give you a sense of our demographics, about 70% of our students are unemployed, a third are single parents, 70% African American, average age is 25, and the average wage is $11.50 an hour Canadian. And that's one of our graduates, actually. So we've only been in operation for about 9 months, but we're very focused on, you know, gathering the data, both qualitative and quantitative, from the students that graduate from our program, because we want to understand, are we being effective? We actually want to, you know, make a quantifiable difference. And so we do have some initial results, but we're very early on, so certain things like college graduation rates we haven't seen yet. but we are seeing some growth in income. So about 60% of our graduates have attained some kind of positive employment outcome post the program. So about 44% have achieved, some type of internet-facilitated work in things like customer service, data entry, graphic design, programming, these types of contracts. And about 16% have secured traditional employment because of so many of the skills that we teach are transferable to the traditional job search, and especially jobs that require some type of computer skills. So our original pilot goal was to see if students can earn the cost of the program back, which is $1,200 per student on average. So we've just surpassed our initial goal, and we're seeing that people are earning about $1,400 per student on average, and that's a combination of internet-based work and traditional work. So really,
how are you tracking the graduates?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we have built really strong relationships with the online work platforms. So we actually get reports from them about what our students are doing on their platforms. In addition, because of the Sama Cafe and other alumni support, we actually keep in touch with our graduates a lot. And so we do follow-up calls and things like that to this question. So we're really, this is very preliminary, but we're really excited to see that students that have never used a personal computer for anything like this, that don't use the internet, that have used Microsoft Word back in high school, are now earning thousands of dollars, through these online course platforms. It's a very promising initial finding. In addition, one of the really interesting things that we're seeing, and this corresponds with the research out there that I mentioned before, the wages that our students are earning online are higher. And part of that is because it's not bound to the local economy. It's actually a global economy, so it has a little bit of a different market rate for certain skills. So, and ODEC projects, that 60% increase in a year, so that's the red box that you see there. So we're also excited to see that, as you know, many of the sort of entry-level jobs people get are not a living wage and can't get people out of poverty. So we're excited that, maybe they can earn a higher, more close to the living wage through the online work market. So this is, I don't know why that text is squished, but this is one of our graduates, Andrew. He's from the college here. Let me read the quote. So Andrew is doing fantastically. He was part of our first cohort, and he is a formerly homeless youth who is now a full-time student at City College of San Francisco. He has a job, and he's been doing almost some online contacts as well. These are some of our partnerships. As Francisco mentioned, we received a large seed grant from the California Endowment. We also received funding from other individual corporate sponsors, and we've partnered with these organizations to help support the program. We feel that we're seeing a lot of success with the program so far, and we really want to take it to other locations. As we mentioned, we're already in Merced and now in Feather River. And actually in Feather River, it's a youth model. We're offering it through the community college as a 4-credit course. So it's a 3-credit class there, and it did go through all the approvals from the college and all of that. And we're excited about that because it offers that obvious incentive of the credits and helps our goal, which is to help students graduate, is directly sequence that. So our goal for this year in 2014 is actually to expand to 4 additional sites, community colleges that are in low-income areas or under-resourced areas throughout California. We also are planning to offer a portion of our curriculum online for free, so that, let's say we're talking to you in this room and you have some of your students that are really interested in this type of work. We want to be able to offer an immediate training for people like that, and then maybe later on we can do the full model, but that obviously takes more time. And we also are going to continue to have the curriculum market-based, so really tracking the trends and making sure that we're preparing people for the jobs of tomorrow. What I would like to say is that I know all of you are representing community colleges around the country, and if your college or somebody that you know is college or your network is college or is interested in partnering in some way with us, whether it's taking the full program as a 4-credit course for your college, or just accessing sort of online resources that we're going to be building out, or in some other way that I haven't thought of yet that you might, definitely be in touch with us. And I'll also say that, it's not just about this particular program. This was meant to be a case study of how can, we work together, both in the for-profit space and the education space, to create new solutions to help students graduate and be successful in their careers. So there are other programs out there like SamaUSA. I haven't found one that's exactly doing online work in particular, but there's certainly amazing models out there. So I think the idea of those two partners working together for the same goal makes a lot of sense, and we've been excited about the results we've seen so far. So this is our contact information. I'm also going to give you guys cards if you want.
Seems like offering those 4 credits that keeps them from dropping out. They keep them enrolled, and if they're enrolled, then they're likely to enroll in the next semester, and they don't have to reapply and all that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And we'd love to have that agreement with every college, but different colleges have different timelines and different requirements. Exactly.
Are you linked totally to colleges? What about high school dropouts?
Yeah, it's a good question. I believe that on the online website you have to be 18. Is that correct?
Yes, you have to be 18.
So I think we do have some students that are, have dropped out of high school and are working on their GED and college credit at the same time. So we do have some students like that. So we definitely can look for people that are on that track. Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you so much.